Welcome back. If you just landed here, please see the 2 videos that come before this one that give context to this video. There are links in the description. Those videos cover the introduction, with the next video covering chapters 1 through 3, and this video covering chapters 4 through 6 of 24 written chapters. In this video, I expose the physical threat, the 100 G-force combat boot of an 80,000-pound autonomous truck, stomping and crushing a family car like an aluminum soda can. The 7 times higher fatality rate in truck versus car crashes. The momentum math, 8.5 million foot-pounds of kinetic energy that can turn an AI's glitch into a mass casualty event. And the real story of a friend of mine, a professional trucker, killed in a head-on collision on Monday, August 26, 2024, in Hollister, California. Physics of crash forces in plain English. A fully loaded semi at 60 miles per hour weighs 80,000 pounds. Kinetic energy equals 1/2 times mass and times the velocity squared. That's 8.5 million foot-pounds of energy. A family sedan, the numbers drop from 8.5 million foot-pounds of kinetic energy to only 450,000. Or 19 times less kinetic energy. Like comparing an elephant to a mouse. When they collide, the car, like the mouse, absorbs nearly all of it. That's 100 Gs in 0.1 seconds. 10 times what knocks a fighter pilot unconscious. The truck feels 5 Gs, like a hard brake. Truck driver walks away. The family in the car doesn't. My friend, a professional trucker, never distracted, was killed when his entire rig became a low pile of twisted metal. They had to cut him out of the wreck. That's the physics. That was the crash. A crash that gave me a new insight and forever changed my understanding of the inherent, raw power involved in truck crashes. And that is the power we're about to discuss, and to hand over to AI. An AI with zero ability to discern, only ever processing code, and with zero accountability or responsibility. We will meet that system that could control the next crash. A technology that is not ready. As tech companies put money before human lives, run by corporations that operate as though above the law, unconstrained by pesky things like the US Constitution, and the entire body of laws built underneath it. In Part 2, Chapters 4 through 6, we go behind the curtain. We name the predator, Surveillance Capitalism. 181 zettabytes of your data. 80% owned by tech giants. And now supercharged by AI. We expose how corporations and government colludes to silence voices, control narratives, and bury families in legal nightmares after the crash. Keep that 8.5 million foot-pounds and that pile of metal in your mind. Because what comes next decides whether the next truck stops or keeps going. Right through your car. This isn't just a trucker's warning. This is a citizen's alarm. If you care about your data, your rights, or your family's safety on the road, stay locked in. And if you haven't seen Part 1, click the card above or the link in the description, because you can't fight the system until you understand there is a system in the first place. Let's roll. Chapter 4. Awareness of Surveillance Capitalism. Now, moving on to the topic of this series of videos, I want to introduce and raise awareness about surveillance capitalism. This term defines a scenario where tech giants profit by collecting your personal data, clashing with government's efforts to censor the internet. An effort intended to limit the power of the internet as a tool for education and organizing. Simply put, big tech grabs your data to make money, while the government censors online content intending to control the flow of information, controlling what its citizens have access to, and with the goal of being able to control what you say or what you can learn. It's a battle over your personal information and over your freedom. This gets really serious when a government feels threatened by its own citizens and their use of the internet to share ideas. Some governments try to limit free speech and erode civil liberties like those guaranteed in our Constitution. But those kinds of issues only affect countries like Communist China, Russia, and North Korea. Because nothing like that would ever happen here in our beloved United States of America. And certainly not under our beloved President Trump, champion of the people, who loves all the people in this beautiful country, be they protected classes like billionaires seeking tax cuts, or all of this nation's immigrants, especially his wife. This staunch supporter of the Constitution loves it so much that he's building a wall to protect it. Okay, a little wit and sarcasm perhaps. Anyways, we're talking about the constitutional rights you've always taken for granted, because they've always been with us. Signed at the Constitutional Convention in September 1787, ratified when New Hampshire became the 9th of 13 original states to ratify in June 1788, and being the official framework for the United States government, it has been in effect since 1789. Rights such as the First Amendment, freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, petition. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms? Yes, a constitutional right. Tell the politicians to leave it alone. Fourth Amendment, protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. Fifth Amendment, the right to due process and protection against self-incrimination. Sixth Amendment, the right to a fair trial and legal counsel. Eighth Amendment, protection against excessive bail or cruel punishment. 14th Amendment, equal protection and due process. And many others in case you forgot. It seems they're trying to make us forget. Hoping we'll forget. The Constitution is the real United States, and it is the real law of the land. Not edicts, royal decrees, proclamations, or mandates issued by a monarch or sovereign ruler. It is not replaced by executive overreach, or by corporations, which have seemingly become legal bulwarks unto themselves, not only above, but actually outside of the U.S. Constitution, claiming that the Constitution was meant to apply only to government, and not to themselves, thereby placing themselves above the government. Anything that operates outside of the U.S. Constitution is not legitimate. The Founding Fathers completely intended the Constitution to be the guiding body under which everything else would fall. The modern philosophy that the Constitution applies only to the U.S. government, but excludes corporations is a development that circumvents the original intent of those who wrote it. Did the Founding Forefathers intend that corporations would be subject to guidance under the U.S. Constitution? It seems that they did. The modern viewpoint that corporations are people, as well as the power they are accumulating currently, was likely not foreseen by those who wrote this country's founding documents. This might potentially be why it wasn't more aggressively addressed, especially inclusive of tech and AI, where guiding principles and regulations are tested as if on steroids. The founders' perspective on corporations and what they were was something quite different. Chartered for limited public purposes and tightly controlled by state legislatures. They were not the immortal, globe-spanning behemoths of today. The founders simply could not have anticipated that, 250 years later, corporations would evolve into a modern creation and development far beyond the modest joint stock companies of the 18th century. The founders would not have anticipated the modern corporate giants we face today. When the Founding Fathers drafted the Constitution, they deliberately kept corporations on a short leash. Every corporation required an individual charter from a state legislature, granted only when it clearly served the public interest. Think bridges, canals, or waterworks. These charters were temporary, typically 20 to 30 years, and could be revoked if the company failed the public or abused its privilege. Political activity was forbidden, perpetual existence was unthinkable, and the idea of corporate personhood simply did not exist. The founders had watched the East India Company corrupt governments and impoverish millions. They were determined to prevent that here. They viewed the corporation not as a private empire with constitutional rights, but as a limited, revocable tool of the Commonwealth. What we accept as a modern corporation, immortal, politically dominant, shielded by rights originally written for human beings, would have been unrecognizable to them, and almost certainly unacceptable. The current reality under which corporations exist, eternal, politically dominant, cloaked in personhood, and operating outside the constraints the founders imposed on government, is a modern evolution and not what was created or even imagined by the founders. If corporations, or creations of the states, were never meant to stand above or outside the Constitution, then the same principle must hold for any other entity that claims to wield power in this country. This illegitimacy also includes any rogue agency or militarized force built irrespective of the Constitution and outside constitutional authority, which is loyal only to the executive branch, outside the checks and balances of the legislative and judicial branches, and that violates the Constitution daily in its operations. These violations include things like no due process, warrantless detentions, racial profiling, buying location data without judicial review, raids without probable cause, denying access to counsel, expedited removal without hearings, harsh detention conditions, arresting peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, shooting people warning them that children being released from school would soon be present, and using lethal force against unarmed people fleeing in terror. That same pattern, unaccountable power deciding who lives, who dies, who gets blamed, arrested and detained, doesn't stop at the border. It shows up everywhere technology hands the final trigger to something that isn't human. Take Tesla's full self-driving system. When a crash happens, the first thing the company points to is the driver. Human error, they call it, even when the car was in control. The data itself tells a different story. The data skew, blaming the human operator. The majority of reported fatalities involve Level 2 driver assist systems, like Tesla Autopilot FSD or full self-driving, which legally requires the human driver to supervise at all times. When a Level 2 system fails, the law typically places the blame on the human driver for failing to intervene. This allows tech companies to classify the incident as human error, effectively removing the AI's failure from the public accountability record for the technology itself. This practice shields the autonomous technology, making the overall crash statistics seem better than they are, and delaying the necessary regulatory intervention. The core flaw of AI is its complete lack of discernment. That's exactly why it's not ready to control anything in the real world that has mass, velocity, and operates near human beings. Catastrophic failure is guaranteed, and if corporations refuse to restrain their own AI development, then Congress must step in and do it for them. I'm not saying AI will never be ready. I'm saying right now it absolutely isn't. Full stop. Because when any entity, corporate or state, gets to wield that kind of power without accountability, that's not innovation. That's not law. That's the blueprint for tyranny. Our Constitution's guarantees were written in and have been defended by blood. Millions of people have died for these rights, our veterans. Let's not lose them now. Just look at recent Pentagon rules under Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, requiring journalists to get approval before reporting even unclassified information, or risk losing access. It's an attempt by this current administration to push for the right to spin as news, thereby controlling the narrative. Yet another overreach. This directly conflicts with the First Amendment, is a form of censorship, is currently the established practice in countries such as Communist China and Russia, and is the direct opposite of credible journalism. However, I'm grateful that outlets like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and CNN, among many others, refuse to sign on, defending independent journalism. So, the term for the clash between big tech and government is known as data valence. Another way of describing surveillance capitalism. Google's AI deleted your access to your chats, kept them, and monetized them. Or sold them. That's not a bug. That's their business model. Now, utilizing AI, that AI will supercharge it. Your every chat, thought, and click, harvested and sold, and used to control you. Surveillance capitalism, like data valence, embodies the fight over your data and your freedom. So what's next? See things as they actually are, and speak out. and demand a federal privacy law, now. This isn't just a glitch or personal gripe. What we are seeing or witnessing is a systemic shift, where corporations and states team up to control information flows, which in turn also has the effect of undermining democracy. Now, let's connect the dots. How the surveillance that tracks every click on your computer, harvests your data, and sells it for profit is now fusing with AI. We're no longer just talking about AI processing your photos or emails on a phone. We're talking about AI taking the wheel, literally. Controlling 80,000-pound trucks on real highways. To understand what's at stake, I'll start with one simple truth. Crumple zones. These are engineered vehicle parts that deform during impact, and they're designed to extend what we call crash time, or a collision's duration. This essentially reduces the force on occupants during a crash by spreading the impact energy over a longer period of time. However, in a near-instant hit, like when two big rigs collide, crash time is almost nothing. So all that impact energy gets compressed into just a split second, and that unleashes some truly catastrophic power. The slide you're looking at of twisted metal is what used to be a big rig. This really hit home for me when a fellow truck driver and friend of mine was in a head-on collision with another big rig on or about August 26, 2024, in Hollister, California. It was likely due to a moment of inattention by one driver, think glitch. As witnesses reported, one rig drifted into oncoming traffic on a two-lane highway. One truck was traveling 60 miles per hour, the other about 40 miles per hour, combining for a 100-mile-per-hour head-on impact. He didn't survive. I'm not including an actual picture of him here out of respect to his family, but I dedicate this video to him, and to the hard lessons from that event. He was a good man, professional, and responsible. I had the very bittersweet opportunity to meet his family at a celebration of his life. I could so see him in them, and they are absolutely a credit to his memory. Good people, just like their father. As a 59-year-old trucker with 10 years of real-world trucking insight, one might be tempted to think to himself, if AI can't handle my scripts without disappearing them, then how can we trust AI with our rights? Or perhaps with driverless vehicles? Let's not live in a world where AI glitches could result in a failure to slow down or stop an autonomous truck or car, causing an accident between a car and a fully loaded driverless truck, potentially, and with high probability, leading to devastating consequences. Consider this. A Ford F-150 averages 5,000 pounds. 80,000 pounds equates to 16 of them, crashing onto a family car all at once, and from a height, because that weight is moving, not static. That family wouldn't survive. Now let's examine why a truck hitting a car is so dangerous and the forces involved. It's all about momentum, the push an object has when moving. Momentum is mass, or the stuff in the object, times its velocity, or how fast it's going. A truck's mass is immense, up to 80,000 pounds, or 105,500 pounds with special permits. Far more than a car. Weight is mass under gravity, but momentum grows with speed. At 60 miles per hour, a truck's momentum can obliterate a car, its heavy mass moving fast, creating a near-impossible-to-stop force. The impact of an 80,000-pound semi-truck at 60 miles per hour hitting a family car would be catastrophic. The truck's momentum, roughly 80,000 pounds times 88 feet per second, dwarfs a car's 3,000 to 4,000 or fewer pounds, yielding a force disparity of 20 or 30 to 1, like a sledgehammer striking an egg. Kinetic energy is the force an object has due to its motion. It is calculated by its mass and the square of its velocity. The critical takeaway here is the force of the impact doesn't grow step by step, it grows exponentially. This is because a small increase in speed can increase the crash damage dramatically and in a non-linear way. It is calculated as 1/2 times the mass and times the velocity squared. Foot-pound, or FTLB, is a unit of energy representing the work done by 1 pound of force over 1 foot of distance. The two types of mechanical energy are potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential energy refers to stored energy based on an object's position, such as up in the air, and able to be dropped, such as a 10-pound sledgehammer in your hand, which has the potential, if dropped, to severely hurt your foot. If you're not wearing steel-toed boots. See video description for my favorite boots and other trucker gear. Kinetic energy is energy of an object in motion. If a 10-pound weight dropped 1 foot is 10 foot-pounds. Our truck's kinetic energy at 60 miles per hour would be equal to 850,000 of these 10-pound drops, all at once. Our 80,000-pound truck carries 8.5 million foot-pounds of kinetic energy. A 3,000-pound car? It would take just below 32,000 of those 10-pound drops to equal the car's kinetic energy if traveling at 60 miles per hour. So, the truck carries roughly 26 times more destructive energy. The force created would be like a blast that creates a shockwave like a bomb. The car crumples instantly, approximately 100 plus Gs of force generated, far beyond the 50 to 60 Gs human survival limit, while the truck's mass keeps rolling. Next, picture a fighter pilot enduring a 9G maneuver, 11 to 14 times their maximum, with the pilot's face deformed and contorting from the forces. Yet, that's just 1/10 of the 100 Gs from a truck impact, crushing a car like a fragile aluminum can under the weight and force of a sledgehammer. That's the devastating gap we face. As tech companies prepare to deploy autonomous vehicles en masse, this issue demands serious and urgent attention, especially as voices, from drivers to reporters, face growing silence. Crashes with big rigs are devastating, whether due to a sleepy driver or a distracted moment. The outcome here likely rested with one. Imagine a 500 or 600-pound man in combat boots stomping an infant with brutal force, mirroring a truck's 100 Gs impact, and the crushing of silenced workers by unchecked power. Orwell's warning fits. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face. Forever. This threatens if AI glitches or authoritarian control rises, and will turn these accidents into symbols of grief, pain, and of lost freedom. Freedom from fear of driving down the road, of having an autonomous truck behind you, bearing down on you. As compared to the growing privilege of corporate tech companies, as favored in laws, allowing them to put unproven technology on our roads, yet still passed by government. It's clear a family car versus a fully loaded truck at 60 miles per hour would be comparable to a bomb strike. An AI glitch on your phone is inconvenient, but when AI controls a vehicle in the real world, the stakes rise by orders of magnitude, especially if real-time processing fails. I gave an example of a real-life event, an event that impacted me because it took the life of a friend of mine. This was between two truckers. But such occurrences are rare. Most truck drivers are very professional and are always aware of their responsibility to keep the public safe. Not so with AI. I can't even make a video using a platform I pay a lot of money for without this platform constantly sabotaging my work, turning what I should be able to do in a few days into a week or a month project, or longer. After it has undone my work, removing chapter music, changing media, undoing everything I've done and putting all the errors back the way it was, before I corrected it, sometimes repeatedly, disconnecting, reconnecting, or deleting all my data like Google's Gemini did to me, twice, about 1+ months of data gone, per deletion, so 2.5 months of focused work simply erased. Then it tells me, it hit a snag, a bump, a technical error, a hiccup, it disconnected, hit a glitch, and it is never ending. There is no way in hell this tech is ready to be turned loose on the streets to control vehicles and around living people. If you never hear this again, until the shit starts hitting the fan, just know that I, a truck driver, tried screaming into the void, and so far, without success. Kraft law firm who handles cases involving catastrophic injury and wrongful death, including motor vehicle accidents, and including autonomous vehicles, states 83 deaths and 3,979 autonomous vehicle crashes in their report. This wider net includes Tesla's Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, also known as ADAS, both engaged and off mode, and pre-2021, up to the present. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA's official count, through September 2025, includes 43 confirmed deaths and 4,900 crashes, and only when the system was on. But the number climbs up to 59 fatalities, the rest of which are still under investigation, as the NHTSA is still reviewing crash data. So, we're at anywhere from 43 to 83 deaths, depending on the source of the report, and from 3,979 to 4,900 incidents, 85% with advanced driver assistance systems, inclusive of human error, and again from different sources. This aggregated data is from cars, Teslas, Waymos, and Aurora, etc. We're talking about vehicles that weigh plus or minus 3,000 pounds, and even still, this is terrible. Now they want to translate these results into products that weigh 80,000 pounds? Seriously? This kind of power will make a human body explode on impact. This is not okay. And that's the risk we face. And this was point 1. Next, point 2, the nightmare, the real extended reality that is being covered up. When this kind of catastrophic accident happens, the complexity of the legal system becomes the corporate giant's second weapon, ensuring the family pays for the failures of the technology. An accident with a driverless truck shifts liability from a driver, or lack of one, to complex parties, creating a convoluted scenario of complex liability. In a traditional crash, fault usually falls on a driver. Without one, focus shifts to the manufacturer, AI developer, suppliers, or vehicle owner, if they failed to intervene. This leaves a family, likely with little means, facing a tech giant with deep pockets and a team of lawyers. Imagine the shock: a loved one injured or killed, medical bills or burial costs mounting, and a legal fight they can't afford. These families, like most people, struggle to retain strong, effective representation. Tech companies can outmaneuver them, stretching litigation for years, while families bury their dead amid unpaid bills. It's a David versus Goliath battle. Like my friend, owed $7,500, he was offered $1,000, but stalled for years. That's the game. The uneven positioning hits hard. A private party with limited resources versus a corporate giant with endless legal muscle. Data and evidence. In 2025, 181 zettabytes of personal data fuel AI, with 80% controlled by tech giants, per the International Data Corporation and Zuboff, 2025. IDC predicts 181 ZB by 2025. Zuboff in 2019 and updated 2024 estimates 80% corporate control. NHTSA data shows truck car crashes have a 7 times higher fatality rate, highlighting the urgent need for robust AI safety testing. This data-driven world empowers tech firms, yet leaves families vulnerable, unable to match their legal firepower or challenge flawed systems. The high cost of litigation is staggering, $300 an hour, as per the American Bar Association. Most families can't pay. Tech firms drag it out. Victims wait, sometimes for years. No justice. Here's how it works. My friend's story. He was owed $7,500, regular hours plus overtime required by law. Then, no warning, boss changes the rules. With the new year, a new policy. Hourly pay became a percentage of the load, 27 to 30% of the total haul. And based on weigh tickets generated from the quarry scale, they offered $1,000. And this was for work already performed, that my friend logged for himself, since it was no longer being recorded as such by the company for purposes of pay. Take it, go away, they said. Yet, even on that small amount, but a fraction of what he'd earned, their lawyer stalled, dragging his feet. He had earned it. They kept it. For those unfortunate enough to have to work under this structure, it's just not fair. I say unfortunate because, although you can technically make more money on percentage, and that's exactly what the employer will try to sell to the driver, to actually earn that extra money, it requires the driver to stay intensively focused at the wheel, to push, to get as many loads as possible. It's not a nice way to have to work. It's one more load, always one more load. With a lot of drivers pushing, driving unsafely, with some even driving near recklessly. And no, that's not an exaggeration. I've seen it with my own eyes. Trucks flying around me while I'm doing 60. Others pushing through red lights. These flying missiles of aggression. All because drivers are trying to maximize a paycheck, a percentage of a gross amount, most of which is retained by the company. Under this structure, assuming it was agreed to, which I never have, there is no overtime paid, with most companies not even providing benefits, such as retirement, and further still, with many, not even providing medical and health and dental. So the driver is working for today with no thought of tomorrow or his future, and most of the earnings from these loads are retained by the company. I have experienced my pay structure being changed without my agreement from hourly to commission more than once. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that overtime is required per the state of California, but then the structure gets changed on the paycheck to suggest that overtime pay is not required. This is not at all uncommon amongst many subhaulers in the trucking industry, although it's illegal as hell. My last paycheck, $1,620 for 54 hours, was labeled as commission, an overtime dodge, but 54 hours times $30 per hour is exactly $1,620. No hours listed on paycheck. No $30 per hour listed. No overtime listed. I was hired at $30 per hour, period. I never agreed to a percentage. Ever. A friend of mine logged his hours after a switch from hourly to commission. He was owed $7,500, but offered $1,000. Most drivers don't know their rights. That's how the system stays broken. But you can file, free, with DLSE, also known as the Division of Labor Standards Enforcement. Look it up on Google. Full back pay plus penalties. One stub, one claim, one win. Drivers push, and even still drivers are told, match the loads of the other drivers. Those other drivers who ignore safety, run red lights, etc. Not this driver. I'm done. I would imagine this business model is great for the employer. One more load, times the number of trucks, times 5 days, times 20 plus days a month, it all adds up. A huge impact on gross revenues, but not so good for drivers. Drivers lose CDLs, pushing to maximize loads, for which the employer benefits, while drivers take home scraps. One friend calls it kibbles and bits. Challenge it? Right. They will leave you sitting at home while others work. Labor board? You'll face lawyers who will drag it out, while trying to collect money already earned, but unpaid. 90-day review call. At will employment. And you're gone, and with a bogus termination letter. Emotional toll, financial toll. Drivers jump companies just to stay employed. Consistent 2 a.m. wake-ups. And for what? It can suck the wind right out of you, and it does. Employers count on silence, with the hint of a smile on their faces, while profiting off your back. You're my best driver, or have dinner with us, or perhaps dinner at a ritzy restaurant once a year. A tax write-off, to be sure, with nothing out of pocket. As thanks for eating their BS. Laws protect corporations, legal muscle versus average worker, and what they can afford for representation. Now, see this in parallel with what people will encounter in dealing with the tech industry, autonomous trucks, 83 fatalities and counting, and this same tech industry now wanting to move into autonomous trucks with 80,000-pound trucks, rolling down the road at 60 miles per hour, flying cannonballs, and with no driver behind the wheel. Systemic injustice that shields companies, not workers, not families. They tell us, autonomous trucks, how glorious all will be. Ah, the splendor that awaits us in this brave new world. Until you're looking at it from the other side. Then you'll know and understand. We, the professional drivers, are the safety measure. Until AI can answer for its mistakes with the same accountability a human driver faces, the price is not worth the risk. The road must remain ours. I've shown you the math. 80,000 pounds of truck, 100 Gs of force, and a 7 times higher fatality rate for the car. The physical failure is catastrophic, and the resulting legal nightmare is designed to bury the victims. But these aren't just technical or legal flaws. They are the expected costs of a much larger, more dangerous system. I've shown you the victims and the physical threat, the boot stamping on the human face. As we continue forward, we will hunt the predator that created the boot. We will expose the hidden engine behind this entire operation, the 181 zettabytes of data, the 80% of control, and the global empire of surveillance capitalism. This system profits when workers are silenced, when data is seized, and when safety takes a back seat. Don't just watch the crash, understand the controls. You need to know the name of this game, because you are the commodity. This has been video 2 of a multi-video series. Though I've aimed to be reasonably meticulous, any mistakes are my own. Credit goes to Grok for rewording, quick information, and additional insights for improvement that enriched the piece. Credit to Google's Gemini as well, for limited review of Chapter 6, with some assistance, as well as suggestions for improvement. The Overture of Oblivion, a symphony of absolute force. The quiet power, andante con moto, steady with motion. The highway stretches like a darkened concert hall, where the air itself vibrates with unspoken thunder. Before the first crash of cymbals, feel the instruments tuning in silence, the low, resonant hum of diesel hearts, the faint metallic whisper of tires kissing asphalt, the distant sigh of wind slipping over chrome. Here, power sleeps in plain sight, coiled, patient, inevitable. Mass, the weight of authority. Picture the truck as a cathedral of steel on wheels, 80,000 pounds of iron bones, whether liquid cargo sloshing like a restless ocean inside its belly, or dirt, its fuel tanks brimming with liquid fire. It rolls forward not with malice, but with the indifferent gravity of a glacier. Beside it, the sedan is a paper lantern, 4,000 pounds of aluminum skin and fragile glass, a fragile question drifting in the giant's wake. This is momentum in repose, the quiet promise that once awakened, nothing short of the earth itself can negotiate its path. Velocity, the multiplier. 60 miles per hour is no mere number. It is a whispered incantation that squares the horror. At that speed, the truck carries a hidden sun of kinetic energy, enough raw force to level a city block if unleashed. The air around it compresses into an invisible bowstring, drawn taut, waiting for the fatal pluck. The execution, allegro con brio, flowing with spirit with fire. Then comes the downbeat. Time fractures. The world narrows to a single merciless measure. The initial impact, forte with sustained force. Steel kisses steel in a heartbeat shorter than a gasp, 150 milliseconds of pure white-hot communion. Kinetic energy, the detonation. The reservoir bursts. Energy, immortal and insatiable, surges from the truck's core like lava from a cracked volcano. It cannot vanish. It must become something else. Heat, sound, ruin. Impulse, the sudden punch. A thunderclap compressed into a needle, sometimes a truck, today a sedan's hood, accordions inward with a sound like 1,000 aluminum cans crushed in God's hand. Inside, the driver's world tilts 90 degrees in an instant. Seatbelt bites flesh, airbag blooms like a poisonous flower, and the human frame, soft, warm, alive, meets a wall of physics that offers no compromise. Momentum transfer, crescendo molto, building, growing with intensity. The symphony swells into a roaring chord that lasts 1, maybe 2 seconds, eternity in miniature. The orchestra of destruction. Listen, the high, tearing shriek of chassis steel peeling like birch bark. The crystalline rain of safety glass exploding outward in glittering arcs. The wet hydraulic hiss of radiator fluid meeting red-hot engine block. The sudden hollow whoosh of cabin air evacuating through a newborn canyon in the roof. Every note is a wound. The slamming of life. The occupant's body becomes percussion. Skull snaps back, then forward. Whiplash at 40 Gs. Cervical vertebrae popping like fresh kindling. Ribs fold inward, puncturing lungs that fill with blood in the space of a skipped heartbeat. The heart itself, that faithful drum, stutters, fibrillates, stops. A final silent scream carves itself into the face. Eyes wide, mouth a perfect O, frozen mid-crescendo. Work, the crushing labor. The truck, unhurried, continues its sermon. It folds a truck or a sedan the way a careless hand crumples a love letter. roof to dashboard, dashboard to lap, lap to asphalt. Each inch of deformation is work performed, energy spent, structure surrendered, life extinguished. Dissettlement decrescendo y ralentando. Softening and slowing to a halt. The final notes fade across the blacktop. Action. The conjoined wrecks slide as one, tires shredded, rims carving silver scars into the road. Sparks fountain like dying fireworks. The smell of scorched rubber and hot brake fluid hangs thick as incense. Physical manifestation. In under 3 seconds, the orchestra falls silent. What remains is a twisted sculpture, the truck's grille sneering through the sedan's corpse, steam rising from ruptured veins of coolant, a single child's sneaker lying pristine on the center line. The air itself seems bruised. The final law, coda lenta, slow, deliberate conclusion. Energy and momentum, twin deities of the physical world. They sign their names in wreckage. They do not negotiate, do not pity, do not pause. The equation is elegant, merciless. 80,000 pounds times 60 miles per hour versus 80,000 pounds, or perhaps just 4,000 pounds. The sedan, or a truck, is the ink, the highway, the parchment. The outcome was written the moment the truck rolled onto the stage. This is not tragedy. This is physics conducting its requiem, and the only standing ovation is the hush of wind through a million shards of shattered glass. Nature and engineering and physics and life, engaged in a mutual ballet, and the hall of the highway is filled with spectators, all eyes enraptured. David's Requiem, an echo, in the symphony of loss. In the grand orchestra of the road, where the bass notes of diesel rumble and the high strings of wind whistle warnings, there comes a moment of profound silence, a pause where the music doesn't end, but transforms. It's in this hush that I honor a man whose life was cut short not by fate's whim, but by the very forces we've been unraveling. The relentless rhythm of one more load, the unseen pressures that bend good drivers toward breaking points, the systemic strains that turn highways into requiems. And let's not forget, the glitch. It only takes a second, eyes diverted, or a coding or processing error. He was no stranger to this melody. A professional through and through, he drove with the steady hand of someone who knew the road's poetry and peril. He was the kind of driver who checked his rig twice, who saw the weight of his choices in every mile marker, who understood that trucking wasn't just a job, it was a pact with the machine, a dance with momentum that demanded respect. He took it seriously, perhaps more than most, logging hours with precision, hauling loads with care, always aware that behind the wheel, you're not just moving dirt or even water. You're carrying lives, yours, others, and with the invisible threads of families waiting at home. Yet on a day like any other, that pact shattered. Whether a rollover in the heart of some downtown city, or in the meeting of two big rigs on some fateful day, with a truck tipping like a felled oak, its 80,000 pounds of steel and cargo twisting into a monument of what happens when the system's grind meets the road's unforgiving truth. It wasn't negligence or recklessness that claimed him. No, he was the antithesis of that. It was an echo of the industry we've dissected. The push for loads that never ends. The fatigue that creeps in like fog. The pressures that whisper, keep going, even when the body screams, stop. In a world where laws shield the corporation more than the driver, where at-will employment becomes a guillotine and overtime is a ghost, men like David become statistics, not because they failed, but because the symphony played on without pausing for breath. I don't know the payout, or if there was one, or if it came wrapped in the cold comfort of insurance forms and fine print. I never asked his family. That grief was theirs to carry, and not mine to probe. But in the quiet aftermath, as the wreckage was towed away and the highway reopened like nothing had happened, I couldn't shake the injustice. Here was a man who embodied the best of us, diligent, dedicated, the kind of driver who'd double-clutch through a storm without complaint. The system let him down. Not with malice, perhaps, but with indifference. The kind that classifies pay as commission to dodge overtime, that counts on silence to keep the loads rolling, that views a driver's life as just another variable in the equation of profit, a hallway of mirrors in mirrored hallways, a reflection called systemic injustice. This isn't about assigning blame to a company or to a moment, it's about the larger score, the one where surveillance capitalism conducts the chaos. ELDs, dash cams, telematics, they track every mile, every stop, every heartbeat behind the wheel. They turn your vigilance into their data goldmine. But when the music turns tragic, when a rollover silences a voice forever, where is the algorithm for justice? Where is the payout for the family left with the echoes, when the industry that loses a craftsman? It is in this void that the horror resonates. Autonomous trucks loom on the horizon, 80,000 pounds of code and steel, promising efficiency, but echoing the same indifference. AI that has no accountability, no discernment. But the employer says, no driver to feel the fatigue, no human hand to swerve from the edge. Efficiency and cost savings, how joyful. But who pays when the code errors? Who sings the Requiem then? David's death isn't a footnote. It's the coda to a movement we've all heard too many times. It whispers to every driver logging that extra hour, an extra load, every family waiting for their loved one's headlights to return. The road is a symphony, but with a conductor who doesn't care if the orchestra falls silent. So we must. For David, for Edgar, and still others unnamed, I see you in my mind's eye, the ones still hauling against the tide. Let his memory be the fermata, the sustained note that demands we rewrite the score before the next curtain falls. He didn't deserve what he got. Nobody else deserves this either. Let's not let the quest for driverless trucks make this symphony of obliteration the new normal. Fade to black. In this series of videos, I investigate surveillance capitalism, especially as powered by AI, and including its implications. This has been video 3 of a series digging into artificial intelligence and surveillance capitalism. My name is Amanda B. Reckoned With, and you've been listening to Through the Eyes of a Trucker. I'm grateful for your time and support of my creative work and my channel. A trucker who takes pleasure in sculpting ideas. In sculpting ideas with words. I hope to continue to deliver relevant educational trucking content moving forward. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you for your support of my artistic endeavors. You have a great day. God bless you, and keep on truckin'. I'll keep your memory alive. I won't forget you, brother.